I'm teaching one more thing that I haven't taught this in 2.5 years, almost 3 years. And I was looking at it because I was on a webinar. They're just talking about how people are crushing it with it, and it makes such a big difference. And I feel like we can really help a lot. And it's going to go back to like, how do I make sure I maximize social media, right? In terms of, I look back, I taught it late 2022, the last time it was in depth. And so I want to talk about, okay, how do I crush social media and what's most important, right? What's the number one problem with social media? Why? Fear, right? Fear of being judged. And I was on this webinar last week, and the guy didn't say that, but he said a lot of people won't post. And he's one of the top agents in the country. They did $1 billion in 1 year as a team, but he said that my whole game changed when my fear of being broke superseded my fear of being judged. I was like, wow. He's like, you know, my fear of being broke, and he talked about when he got in business initially, he lost a lot of money and basically went to zero. And he started posting and doing stuff, and he said, I got to the point where I figured I got to win this game, and I need them to choke on my face, is what he said. And I was like, that's a damn good quote, right? And so this is the stuff that I came up with before, but it's a great reminder, which made me want to teach it. And he said that my whole game changed when I started doing this because my fear of being broke superseded my fear of being judged. And that's a big, big thing for you guys, because some people would rather be broke than people judge them, which is crazy, right? Because guess what happens when you're broke? They judge you anyway, right? It just is what it is. And so you got to make sure that you're able to understand that makes a big difference. And so the one problem with fear is fear, okay? Now, what's the number two problem that people have that I feel is really the big problem that can solve? I can't solve your fear. You got to make a decision, right? They don't know how. They don't know what. They don't know what to say, right? I don't know what to post. That's a big problem. And so that has to be just really a framework or a strategy of that. Now, why does this even matter? Like, why are we talking about it? Your social footprint is now your resume in 2026, period. You have a real-time resume, whether you like it or not, that goes to every buyer and seller that looks you up before they do business with you. You guys agree? It's just important to do, so I have to make sure, okay, I have to play that game. Now, you can argue with it. Like I said before, I can argue with gravity, step off the balcony, I'm hitting the floor no matter what. One of the guys said something recently about AI. He said, you can hate AI all you want to, but the reality is in business, it's AI or die. You will die as a business if you don't endorse and understand and go deep on AI in the next 3 to 5 years. Same thing from a social media standpoint is everyone goes there, so if they go there, and what are they looking for when they go there? Trust. And they're looking at you, can I trust this person in buying my largest asset? Can I trust this person to sell my largest asset? And unfortunately, how humans work is they score people, and they're very, very decisive based on being judgmental, which they shouldn't be, but guess what? Are humans judgmental? No matter how much they program you not to be judgmental, are people judgmental? Yes, because it's a survival mechanism, okay? And so people are automatically going to go look you up, especially people with money and especially baby boomers, period. And so they go to certain places more than so. The people with money go look you up on TikTok? No. Where do they go? Facebook, period, right? Why? It's the most believable location. Number two, Instagram, many cases, right? Which is pictures, it's real in that scenario. TikTok, maybe younger people look you up. That's a different demographic, but you're looking at, but you understand that's where they go. And so if I know that's the case, the guy to be willing to do what? Play the game to win, right? And so the other guy who's crushes it on there, Alex Chepel, like he was talking about recently, he's like, dude, this has to be your business resume. How you want to look at it. And so he even talks about 30 minutes a day. I delete people off my Facebook who are not of value. So if you're worried about what your Aunt Martha says that you say on Facebook, what do you got to do, Aunt Martha? Delete her, right? Period. Hey, I love you, Aunt Martha, but you ain't making me money right now. Now, Aunt Martha sends you referrals, that's cool. But if they're not someone who's going to send you referrals, send you business, they need to be off there or potentially blocked, whatever you want to do in that, right? So the reality is you're going to have to do that part of it. Now, that's the key part. So to solve the main problem we talked about is like, hey, people don't really know what to post about, right? So what's the key point? I gave you guys this before. If I post just about real estate, what's the problem with real estate? Number one, they're bored. Number two, what? They don't trust you. So if they look at my Facebook posts and all I have is 55 listing things and 55 things in the last 6 months, what do they think about this person? They're hiding something. Why? Because they want to see about what? You. That's why they don't give a shit about your business page. Every realtor comes and creates a business page and it's got zero engagement. Why? Because they don't care about your business page. They want to know about what? You and who you are, and are you going to screw them over or not? That's it. And so if I understand that, I want to say, okay, how do I make content in a way that they're going to want to see who I am and do business with me based on having what? An attractive character, right? And so my job today, my goal today is help you be able to have some stuff to post about and give you a framework for the right content. So obviously the easiest, most important for us is what?
Whatever your
business content. Right? So, all right, what's business content? Gives you simple ways to break this down. I've done this before, but it's super important to have a great remember. So I have what in the transaction? Different processes in the transaction, right? And so my job is to train my brain so that these triggers pop up, that I'm able to take that moment and create an instance to create content. And so number one, pending deal. Pending, right? So my opportunity to post pending. Right? Now what's the most important part about that though? Do I just do a flyer that, you know, our graphic designer makes or Canva? People connect with the story. And so if I have a client from New Jersey who just came and bought a second home here, and someone else in New Jersey that looks me up on Facebook, and they see I just helped someone else in New Jersey, what happens to that rapport right there? Instant, right? Boom. Now the story helped bring in conversion, and that's what helps close the deal. Now, do you tag the person? Hell yeah, why? It's going to show up in their friends. I'm going to go mid-service level for the pending, and then deep pain and satisfaction on the close. Why? I want multiple impressions on it, and by the time you post the actual close post, how many out of 10 people you think remember the details of that on your Facebook page? 0. Maybe 1, right? Because everyone's seeing so much noise and so much content, everything, they're not remembering you. And so part of that is just for you to be able to do what? Have frequency, show up to the people that you're friends with and your clients and your sphere on there to have, but more importantly, so you're seeing just a long thing. And they're not really inspecting most of that stuff in detail. Does that make sense? So like ideally, I may switch it up a little bit and put a picture of the property and a flyer at the beginning one, and then at the closing one, I'm doing what? A picture, a photo with them, right? So that way it makes it up a little bit different. But the key part is I want to tell the story initially, because that part is successful. Here's the deal. Let's say it doesn't close, right? It follows through. I still got the post for the pending that's on my Facebook, and as long as things don't get too sideways, you're not too angry, now I still have that for other people to see when they look me up. Make sense? Now obviously key fundamentals of this is my posts must be what? Public, right? They must be public. I must have everything public. Why? If they're private, no one sees it, okay? Like I've been doing some of the recruiting stuff lately. People haven't posted since like 2022, 2023. What do you think about them? Like, they ain't doing right? And that's just me in the business knowing how agents are. I still feel the same way. I can't help it. And so it's important for us to understand like they're going to judge a shitty, so you got to make sure that. Number 2, you make sure you have what? Your bio set up. Bio should have what? Where you work at, company name, ideally phone number and email in some cases, right? Website address, which is important, and obviously a great, what do you call it, profile photo, and what? Cover photo. If you want, you have a graphic designer make one, or you can do it through Canva, whatever it is. AI can help you make a cool one now too if you want for a cover photo, which would be your top one. Have it deal with something in Myrtle Beach, what you're doing real estate, all those things make a big difference. But that's key part, because why? A lot of people are going to look you up and they want to be able to call you. Does that make sense? I've had a few realtors show up on Indeed where I didn't have their exact number. I looked them on Facebook, got their number there, called them on Facebook, booked an appointment. Right? Okay, that's the most important part. Second piece, what? Closing, right? We talked about the closing. So I have an opportunity for inspection. So you can do inspection. I take a picture while I'm there at the showing or while I go under contract, and I take multiple pictures so I can use what? The second photo I haven't posted yet for my inspection day. Hey, inspection day here at this property. So excited to help these people out through this process, right? We have a great home inspection team. Whatever it is, helping us to help them go through that, right? Help us go through that. Third piece here. Closing. That's also going to tell what? Story. It can be about the process. It can be, hey, we got through XYZ. Obviously, you want to talk about their pain, their pleasure, what they're looking to do, what they're looking to escape. That would be second home, investment property, whatever it is. I've sold them. This is the second home I've sold them, third home I've sold them, fourth home I've sold them, right? They were a referral from so-and-so who sent me this deal, whatever it is. That makes a big difference because I want to see this right here. Because people are going to read that, and ideally, what do people connect with a lot more than just a flyer? Faces of people, right? Now, what's even more powerful than somebody's faces in a photo? A video. But if you have a video, you can upload people. Are they going to watch the whole video? No. But they see you with people who have happy, smiling faces on them at the closing table. What does that give you? Credibility and trust, which is the number one thing that we know creates resistance. So if I can have a way that reduces resistance before they ever meet me, that's what I'm looking to do here. Does that make sense? Very, very important piece there to have. And so that's what people bring a big connection. This part needs to have actual people, rather it be photo, video. With me on this? In front of the house, holding the sign, all that stuff makes a big, big difference. If I'm there, have this one to do both, which would be what? Photo with the sign, interview, video, right? And then obviously I want to be able to use that part later. Does that make sense? And then I'm going to get testimonial, which would be a review, and I get that later on. So I'm getting 4+ posts out of this one deal. Does that make sense? This happens all the time. Some agents do this really well and don't sell a whole lot of houses, but it looks like they sell a lot of houses. If they just had leads back it up, make a big difference, right? So fourth piece here is what? Houses and deals. Which should be what? Deal of the week, right? Here's my deal of the week. Here's what's on the market. Here's what just came down in price. This is a great deal. It's a nice high-end home, whatever it is. And obviously you want to post a picture of that and have in the comments a link to what? Your personal website. Not Paragon, not something else. Your personal website that has your personal domain that everything goes to, because that way if they register from that, you get credit for the lead. Makes a big difference, right? So if you send off Paragon, you're not capturing that person as a lead. Does that make sense? You don't send a link of Paragon. Don't ever share a link of Paragon. You want to share your specific link from your site in Boomtown or the other site that we have. Okay? Why? Yes, get them to our website, right? It drives them to your website and you get credit for that lead, and lead goes directly to your bucket, which lead that you create. Does that make sense? Which is important. And part of this houses and deals would also be what? Open house. Now, obviously the open house, what is the key part here? Make sure you put it in what? Large groups. We talked about that. And you want to do the same thing. Photo in there, link to your site in the open house in the group. Why? Because if I got 10,000, 20,000 people in that group and I post that link in there, I'm going to get 3 or 4 leads from that. And so you do an open house, you got to create leverage and post in 4 or 5 groups with your posts to be able to get leads off that. But now I get 5 or 10 people just off doing an open house, in addition to the 6 or 7 that showed up in the open house in person. Does this make sense to you guys? This is called leverage. Very, very important piece here. Next one here, industry news. So things like what? Interest rates, right? Anything from KCM blog, which is a great one to do. Probably pick one of those a week. Now, ideally, it's better if you talk about it and say it versus post a generic link, because what happens to anybody that sees your stuff? Yeah, they're just going to go there. They're not going to really look at you anymore because you're not looking at the authority. Now, you can have something created that you do for it, like with your name and information on it, which is a way to do it, or you can do a quick video about it. You can use CapCut, do a green screen, put the picture behind you, talk about it for a second. That makes a big difference as well. Facebook has one single goal. What is it? Keep you on Facebook. Why? They sell more ads that way, right? The more traffic they get, the more scrolls you do, the more they can place ads in there, which is the more money they make, okay? And so if you place a link that takes them off of Facebook, even though they have their own browser now, that does harm your placement in the algorithm, right? So what I want to do is put the first comment in the comments, obviously below it. If you have a lot of comments, you can pin it up the top, but the reality is most of you won't have that many, so you don't need to do that. But yes, it needs to be in the comments for sure. Does that make sense? That's a very, very important piece. Now, I can go through a lot more than that, but you want every single interaction to have. The other one, too, that's important is showings, right? You want to post a picture of it, especially if you have open oceanfront property, right, where I'm on a high balcony with a cool pool or a cool view. Take that, post it, put it out there. Right? Beautiful day in Myrtle Beach, showing great condos, whatever you're showing, awesome property, if it has a cool pool, whatever it is, I want to show that because you have the opportunity to make sure I'm doing what? Showing that I'm showing property and I'm a successful agent. Does that make sense? And I'm not what? A secret agent who's not doing anything. Okay? So when the person on Boomtown looks at your name up and finds it, and there's a lot of people, I see all these resumes on Indeed from these agents who are obviously getting out of the business, and I look them up on social media. Number one, I can't find them half the time. Number 2, they don't have anything posted in years. And so no wonder they're not doing anything, because even if they did have leads, the leads look them up, they look like they're not doing anything. So it's very, very important for you to make sure you have that. So the key part is my business stuff. Now that's the easy part. And so what happens here? What do you have to do to make this work? You have to train your brain. So you're naturally not going to see it, right? But you're going to train your brain. This is important. So my other coach, and I've heard this twice this week. He was just talking about how he had a lot of success because he had people choke on his face, and that his fear of being broke superseded his fear of being judged. And I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. And then I had the thing this week with Garrett. He talks about when he did Daily Fuel podcast for like 700 days in a row. And every day he would talk about a lesson. Now, part of that he would tell what? A story. Now, it's very hard to come up with content for 700 days in a row. And so what he talked about, he did is he had to do what? Train his brain to see every little thing that happened, to the ability to turn it into a story. And they go, daily fuel, daily fuel, daily fuel, daily fuel. And what happened was the more you train your brain, the easier it became to what? To see it. It's a reticular activator. And so I'm constantly training my brain to have a checklist. Boom, boom. No matter what, now all of a sudden everything starts to become content for you to be able to do and create. Does that make sense? And so that's what I'll talk about in a minute. If you want, and I can do it right now. I'll get ahead of that. We have this thing through Warrior. It's called what? Why lesson apply. Right? Same thing you talked about there. So what happened? Why is that important? What's the lesson behind that? And how does that apply to life or real estate or business? And there's your framework for any type of content you want. And we did this yesterday in a couple of calls, and Garrett made a bunch of us do it in 2 minutes or less. And you have to have a good hook. So what happened is what? It's your hook. Whatever it is, right? Why is that important? It's how it relates to people. The lesson behind it is be able to help have growth to that and apply it to how they apply to you or how that applies to your situation, your business. Does that make sense? So client missed out on a property, client got a property under contract, whatever it is, client moved down from New Jersey, whatever it is. Lesson is, hey, look, they spent years looking for a property they could have bought 2 years ago, whatever it is. And that, obviously, you're not going to tag them in that, but it's an opportunity for you to kind of talk about those things. Make sense? What's the next one that's most important? It's the one you struggle with the most. Personal. It's personal stuff, right? Lots of resistance here. But this is the one that people connect with the most. So what type of stuff do you have to post? Family. Number one is be family, right? So family, it's an easy one, right? Minimum, really want 2 times a week if possible. So those are things like what? Wife, parents, kids, dogs. Those are something people. So now if I post about my dog and somebody is on my bucket, they came in, looked me up, and they see a dog, what happens? Instant report. Instant report, it makes a big difference in terms of what that is. Number 2 are things just life in general, which is like what you have going on, things you're doing. Volunteering, right? Friends, out. Whatever it is makes a big difference in that part. Third piece is connection. What does that mean, you think? Yep, I want you to write this. People like them. People like them. But more importantly, you're not doing it for likes, you're doing it for what? People look you up and they see you on there. What do? They see our personality, they see you're real. And so they might not even like bass fishing, but I'll see a guy here catching a fish and he's like, all right, this dude's obviously legit. He's not some fake. They don't like somebody who's just a facade because then it feels like you're hiding something. Make sense? So that's where connection comes. People like them. And obviously we talked about the whole training on an attractive character. Right? How do you create an attractive character that someone wants to do business with? That's super important. Fourth thing here is positivity. Right? Positivity. There's enough negative out there right now. Don't be on there arguing with people about politics. And why? Because people want to look you up. Does that make sense? And so that's super important to make sure you have there with that. In addition to that, there's 3 main things that you can really focus on. I want you guys to write this down. This is kind of what you want to focus on. Number 1 is inspire. Number 2, educate. Number 3, entertain. Inspire, educate, entertain. And I got to turn mine up a lot more too. A lot of times you just got to train your brain. There's some guys out there, man, they've gotten so good at it. They'll take the most basic photo and put something with it and it sounds awesome, looks great, and they're doing it every single day. And so what happens? They're getting massive increase in following, they're getting massive engagement, they're getting massive people just by doing what? Consistently posting what they do, right? So that's a key part of what that is, right? You're getting ahead of me right here. What's the next one you think? Ambassador. This is key. Ambassador. What's that mean? I'm Mr. Myrtle, right? I'm Mrs. Myrtle, whatever it is. I need to make sure that I'm the one that is promoting Myrtle Beach as a place to be that I love to work at, live at, and obviously people look me up online. I want them to be in the freezing cold snow in Pennsylvania, seeing me on Facebook, right? Playing golf or on the beach or whatever it is makes a big difference, right? And so that's the key part. I want you guys to write this down. You want them to look at you as the online mayor. What does that mean, you think? I want them to be so triggered by you. It's like, man, I'm seeing Ryan all of a sudden do this stuff. He's all of a sudden out doing these things, or whatever it is in Myrtle Beach or at this place. And that may take sunrises, right? Sunsets, using places in restaurants, cool restaurants, whatever it is, makes a big difference. Tell a little story about it. Makes a big difference. Number 2, lifestyle, right? What's it like? What? Living at the beach. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes you worry about people that live in Myrtle Beach that are your friends you grew up with, went to high school. They may make you not want to post. But are they paying your bills? But the lady or the guy who looks you up from New Jersey that just came in your Boomtown account is going to look you up and see, hey, what does he or she know about Myrtle Beach? Can I trust him as the expert to guide me to the right place, helps me get the right neighborhood? That's what they're going to judge you on. And so you got to focus on the ones that are paying your bills, make a big difference in that. And number 3, just real life stuff. Now, here's the crazy part. This has been tough for me lately, but like having kids is a little bit difficult. But like if I don't have anything to post about, because I'm not doing anything, what does that mean? I got to start doing some shit. I got to be less boring. Period. So that means I got to need to do what? Go walk the boardwalk, go to dinner, go to lunch somewhere, go eat on the ocean, right? Go eat somewhere with a golf course view. Do something that looks a little cool so that you can at least do what? Take a photo and post about it. It's important. So it makes a big difference in that scenario. So again, I want to make sure I have these pieces. And so a lot of times I give you kind of my main things I like to do with that. Number 1 is beauty, right? Beauty about what? Myrtle Beach, sunrises, right? Sunsets, pretty things like that. Weather, ocean, beach, whatever it is. Sky wheel, things like that. Number 2, attractions. Attractions. That brought at the beach, right? A festival. You could be anything, man. Something that has something to do. Hey, look, cool thing here. Shout out to this business. It's an awesome business. You could be like Rock and Jump or something, whatever it is. 2 main things here. Photos, as well as what? Videos. There's a lot of people that are crushing this with like reels and stuff. That gets a little bit deeper, but I want you guys to start posting first, right? But get to the point, take a lot of simple videos, easy videos, and then put it into CapCut or something, create something cool and just post the reels. Now again, what's the number 1 hesitation? You post 2 or 3 posts, you get no likes, and then what do you think? Oh, no one likes me, I'm not worthy, this thing doesn't work. But you're not looking at the people that don't engage with you. And this is something Garrett said yesterday. Garrett's like, I think he's like 50, 60,000 followers. And he's like, I sell more than people with 3, 4, 500,000 followers. 3, 4, 500,000 followers. Why? Because his are super like, what do you call it, like dialed into him and his message, right? But the one thing he mentioned yesterday is a great thing is like the people that buy from him never comment. They never like. What do? They just stalk, watch, see something, click a link in the bio, and they buy stuff. The ones that are talkers in the comments and likers aren't ones that buy from you. So good news is, guess what? Don't worry about it. Just keep doing what? Posting about it. But more importantly, you got to look when that, here's the thing. How many listings have we lost before? Because the other agent is posting all this great stuff and we don't have anything. Make sure you have good stuff on there, right? The client looks you up at least. And here's the thing. The client's friends with you. They'll see it anyways, right? Past client in many cases. But the 30 minutes here, who am I adding? Past clients, and my whale leads. So my ones that are really good whales, good leads, guess what I'm doing? Adding them as a client. Why? I'm sorry, as a friend. I need them to see me. And I want to track them to who I am when I do. That then positions you as a thought leader. Make sense? Like, because you're giving thoughts and share information that people watch and other people aren't, it just allows you to make sure you're able to go that way. So it makes a big difference in that part. And then the last thing here that matters the most for anybody, which is something that we all struggle with, is what? Consistency, period. And I taught this last time. The algorithm gives you a 21% increase in placement if you have consistency and how you show up. Why? Because they want creators to be more consistent in how they create. And in addition to that, right, they're obviously want to keep people online. So the content creators who are consistently creating stuff, the algorithm rewards them for doing what? Posting, right? And so that's a key thing that's important for you guys to do. Now, why does that matter? Because consistency does one thing. It builds trust. And I told you guys, we were on the call a couple weeks ago. This guy, he's a big agent in Orlando. He's like the top, like luxury agent down there. He's got into a Warrior. And he's talking about if he looks anybody up or a consumer looks them up, they haven't posted since 2024. He's like, you can't trust this person at all. And I never thought of it like that. But I guess people do think that way, right? Which is crazy. And so It's just how they are. Well, let's say there's two people they're going to think about use. You post, the other person doesn't. Sorry, you don't post, the other person does post. Who are they going to pick? Right? Because they're more what? Trustworthy, more relevant. Does it suck? Does it suck? Yeah. I mean, is this easy? Is it convenient? No, but neither is being broke, right? Neither is having less sales. Neither is having people take your clients. Neither is having, like, this stuff is how you play the game to win. But if you do it right, it's very, very easy. And that's how you attract more people to you. It makes resistance go down. Does that make sense, you guys? Which I think is super important to look at overall. Third piece, consistency helps build your attractive character. So, like, the key thing here is it takes impressions for them to see who you are and what it is. Now, here's the problem, too. Like, if I only post about business, what are they going to do to me in many cases? Unfollow or tune me out. They may not unfriend me, but they may unfollow me, right? And so that's just something that's important. So I need to mix it up because they don't want to see all your business stuff. Business stuff is just to remind them that you're in real estate and what you do. And it also just shows credibility and look back on your timeline. Make sense? What keeps them watching you and engaging with you and appreciating you is what? The personal stuff, because they want to know about you and who you are. Who is Carlos really, right? What's Carlos about? Do I like this guy or not this guy, right? That's what matters in terms of what they do there and how they show up. And the fourth thing I got to hit myself with, I guess, is impressions. You have to have more impressions of what you do. And so, like I said, a lot of these guys are teaching right now 3 posts a day, and some are doing it. They're building 7-figure business off of it in many cases, right? Because they're very strategic about who they're friending, and so that means in many cases you may have to unfriend people, right? Because if you have a lot of people in your friends list that aren't engaging with you, that can cost you engagement. That makes sense? But I want to, number one, the basics of people looking you up. That's the key part here, because that makes the phone calls easier, makes them more likely to want to do business with you, keeps them forgetting about you, and it keeps reminding them about you and what you do. But for you guys, you're looking to attract what? Clients, right? Buyers and sellers, buyers and sellers, buyers and sellers. And so that's the key thing. Now, look, a lot of people, half their friends are agents and mortgage brokers. That's not going to do you any good. Okay? Like, they may make you feel good when the mortgage guy comments and everything. That's because he's trying to get business from you. But the ones you want to have are buyers, sellers that are either leads of yours, clients of yours, or past clients of yours. Does that make sense? And so you'll see a lot of times too, if you tag your client, they show up in the algorithm, they're going to have their friends, they'll do what to you a lot of times? Friend request you or follow you. How do you know they're in your bucket in Boomtown, right? They're either a client that's signed with you or a past client. Those are ones that mean the most, right? And so the other thing I forgot to picture is obviously your review screenshot. And here's the thing, no one ever connects the dots. You feel like so paranoid about it. No one connects the dots that, whatever, let's say Tom and Mary had this great review, but you posted the under contract 45 days prior. No one thinks about that unless it's like an agent that's just trying to stalk you, right? So just don't worry about that. And even if it is, guess what? It's a different part of the transaction, and you have the right and the ability to post that because it shows you followed A to Z all the way through the process and you did what you're supposed to do. Does that make sense? What's more believable is that actual person in the video than anything. That's what Dan Kennedy wrote a while back about no BS success in selling. He said that the customer saying the words instead of you is 100 times more valuable. The customer is saying the words on video more than you, 1,000 times more valuable. So it's a 10x return in terms of influence of the consumer saying it on your behalf versus just writing it, which is a 10x return of you saying it. Does that make sense? And so think about that. I can make, let's say, 10 posts and let me make it. I can have one testimonial on video that has the same effect of 1,000 posts of mine. They don't believe you because they're skeptical, right? And so they believe that person, and so that's why them doing the words on video are much more, because it's hard to fake that stuff. And so that's a key part of what you have to have there. Couple quick little button-ups I have you want to look at. Is once you pick your SRG 5, like what are the 5 things you're passionate about? As before, we call it SRG 5. And so for me, I picked, what are the 5 things that I'm passionate about that I can post about consistently? Number 1 for me, business. Travel, fitness, Myrtle Beach, and personal development, right? So for me, mine was business, family, travel, Myrtle Beach, and personal development. And so one of the things that Russell Brunson talked about that he does is he has the top 5, and he created 5 separate folders in his phone. in his photo section, and each time there's a photo he has or a screenshot or something he has, he takes that and saves that in there to have for a content. So now when I know I need to post something, I go back to one of my 5 folders, which for me, again, business, family, travel, Myrtle Beach, or personal development. Those are 5 things, and you have those 5 things. So it'd be a cool quote, whatever it is, and you pick one of those and you roll through them. Ideally, you do one a day for 5 days a week. Does that make sense? And so pick your top 5 that you're passionate about, which is important. Another couple of things you can do. Number 1, always tell a story. Number 2, ask a question, which would be like, why do you want to ask a question? It creates engagement. And so if you have more engagement in your post, it shows the algorithm that you have content people engage with, which obviously increases the value of that, which keeps them on there longer, which allows them to place you higher in the algorithm. And that creates more engagement, right? And so that helps. You want to spread that. You don't want to do that too much because then you look like you're just asking a bunch of random questions, right? But you want to build that in as part. Number 3 you can do is top 3 list. Top 3 places to eat for Myrtle Beach, right? Top 3 things to do this. Top 3 buildings on the ocean for Myrtle Beach, which make a big difference. That's in the top 5 list, or the top things that he did a lot too. So you had a top 5 list, top 5 things at blank, top 3 things at blank. Those are other parts. But the one thing that Garrett taught me a long time ago, which is helpful, and I get you back on the horse a lot more, is just live out loud. And he gave this quote that says, when you live out loud, the world becomes putty in your hands, period. And so how many of y'all know of like a lot of just people that post a lot of stuff online? They're not that smart, but they get a lot of business, a lot of people, and they get a lot of notoriety, right? Just because they have the guts to do what? To post. And so that's something I really want to make sure I turn up on that. But that's just to give you guys the content to make sure that you're able to do with that. Yeah, and it's like that's one thing. And I was watching Alex think about this last week. Is like you just can't post for engagement. And so he talks about in his beginning, his first videos. You go to his old YouTube videos, there's like 7 views on it, right? Now he has like millions of followers, and each one gets a couple million views, right? But he's like, I was just consistent enough to keep doing it over and over and over. And he's like, most of you guys think this is what he said. So most of you guys think you post like, he goes, we do 420 pieces of content per week. He's like, you guys will post two times a week for 9 weeks and just like, this doesn't work. He's like, most humans drastically underestimate the amount of content you have to do it. And he said at the beginning, guess what happened? No engagement, no likes, no engagement. But he said what happens after you do it for a while, you start to figure out what to post, what not to post, what works. And also, if you're inconsistent in posting, the algorithm also damages you in many cases. So it could be something cool, just nobody sees it, right? And so that's just something that you learn about. So you just got to disconnect from the attaboy for sure. The thing is, I want you guys, remember, don't worry about the likes, but eventually, and so everybody says this, eventually, the likes eventually come, right? Because you get good at posting stuff. Now, the problem with stories versus stories are really easy, right? Because only a couple 100 people see them. But the problem is your consumer doesn't see them in your stories a week later, right? That's what you want to make sure you have. That's like, you want them to look you up because that's your business card. So even if you don't get it, and I get 4 or 5, let's say you get 10 a week look you up. Is it worth it? Yeah, it is, because your conversion now can double or triple just on them looking you up, right? And so that's why it's important. Now, is this another part of the job? Yeah. Is this a lot of right here? Yeah, it is. But what it does is, that's my notes too, is it takes you from a commodity, which is the number one problem people have with agents. They look at all agents as a commodity, and it personalizes it. And so now you shift from just being a commoditized agent to a personalized agent they can like and trust and they relate with, which is what increases conversion, right? And so that makes a big difference in what it is. And so I wanted you guys to have this as strategies, because the one problem is fear. You got to overcome that yourself. I can't help you with that. Number 2, you got to have a content block of what to post, and this solves it for you, okay? But part of you got to do this is you got to train your brain. Train your brain, train your brain, train your brain. So make commitment, hey, I'm going to do 5 posts this week, whatever it is. And then if I do 5 posts this week, then guess what? I'll do 5 posts next week and 5 posts next week, and then I can figure it out and start going from there. Does that make sense? Then it becomes natural in what you do. Make sense?